this fine line of plastic surgery and even, fillers and Botox. And I mean, you can go as simple as hair dye, right? Hair extensions, all the things. And it's kind of like, what do you say about that? Should I get, should I get this procedure or should I be happy with myself? I actually have a couple clients who this has come up multiple times about facelifts. Like, should I get the facelifts or should I just be happy with myself? Like, where's this fine line?
It's time for you to create your fate.
Welcome to today's episode of the Create Your Fate podcast. I'm life coach Meg Ellis. I am back with my bestie, Alanna. What's up, girl?
Hey.
We back. Part 2.
We're here to continue talking about body images.
Yes, we are. There's so much to talk about. Honestly, this could probably be a 14-part series, but we're going to wrap it up in 2. So if you missed the last episode, definitely tune into that. We talked about the 90s and
when we were young.
When we were young, heroin chic was in as a body type. Speaking of 90s, I'm in Austin right now, and I have this temporary podcast setup going on, and I'm getting some serious "Are you afraid of the dark" vibes in this tiny house with very bad lighting. So if you're watching this on YouTube, thanks for putting up with it. So
I thought you were going to say, speaking of 90s, I'm currently in 90 square feet.
I am in 90s. Honestly, I have no idea how many square feet it is. This is my first time staying in a tiny house. It also said, so if you missed the last episode, check it out, but it advertised kitchen, and that meant 2 spoons and 1 knife. And it also said,
microwave.
And there was a microwave.
A dorm microwave fridge combo.
Right, exactly. And actually there's a mini fridge in here too. And I put my half of an avocado in it, and it came out fully frozen, like a weapon. So I'm like, oh, at least this is my biggest protection in this tiny house, a half frozen or frozen half of an avocado. So went in a pinch.
You can't even get the pit out with your knife.
No, there's absolutely, I'm going to leave it. We've grieved it.
A butter knife.
It's literally a butter knife. Yeah. But it also said that there is a washer here, and there is no washer.
Is there a hose?
I think they meant the sink. And I came, and I'm teaching 7 SoulCycle classes in Austin. And I went to the studio manager today. I said, hey, I think I might have to wash my clothes at the studio because I need more outfits, So she was like, yeah, bring them in. You can wash them here. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Anyway, read the fine print. It's a lovely place, 90 square feet, I think, tiny house, super cute, but not what was advertised,
Yeah. Right.
Kind of leading right into our Photoshop conversation. We talked a lot about Photoshop, also not what is advertised, it just looks different. A nice segue back into body image. So definitely check out the first episode. It's I think the last episode. So check it out and tune in because we were talking, I loved this conversation that I wanted to continue just about, what was the way your solid core instructor phrased that poll on his Instagram?
Do you feel that a coach or fitness professional, instructor, personal trainer needs to be in good shape in order to be somebody that you would go to? Mm-hmm. Something along those lines. Like, that wasn't exactly the wording, but that was the gist of the question.
So it's interesting because where would that apply in a different industry?
Would you go to a dentist with bad teeth?
90% of dentists have bad teeth.
Would you go to a hairstylist with, I don't know, I guess the joke is like a bald hairstylist, or the cobbler who doesn't have shoes, like things like that. I mean, it probably does apply across a couple different things, but not specifically related to how your body looks or how your body is shaped. That's for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Yeah. I think we've just gotten a little too comfortable talking about other people's bodies freely. And it's not even in a negative way, right? I mean, a lot of times it is in a negative way. You know, you
Yeah.
see trolls and everything on social media, and even you know, I remember when Jada Pinkett Smith was the butt of that joke, was that last year at the Oscars?
Mm-hmm.
And you know
With
that,
Blackbird around the world.
yes, really though, and just this eruption of stop talking about people's insecurities and bodies, right, publicly.
Mhm.
And even, you know, if you say something and you intend it to be a good thing, you do not know how the other person is going to interpret it, you know?
Mhm. And you don't know what they're self-conscious about.
Hmm. Right.
So,
I think we just stop talking about other people's bodies and let them talk about it first, you know? Um,
yeah. But
and
even to the point of a pregnant woman, like you don't ask somebody if they're pregnant. I've been asked if I was pregnant before and I've never been pregnant. Like
I
it's
know
rude
at my
or
bridal
you're
shower,
outing someone. Yeah. Well, that it's happened more times than just that too. Yeah, but I mean,
that was 10
geez,
years
way to
ago.
add to my insecurities. Oh,
Yeah,
geez, that's
I
crazy.
know. I've actually gotten asked that too a couple times. And it's like, until you literally see a crowning head, do not
And I
ask
hope you don't see it.
do not ask if somebody is pregnant, right? Just allow
Yeah,
them to tell you. And a lot of times
it's
it'll
rude.
be postpartum, right? You don't just immediately bounce back to the body that you had before, and you
Right.
can still, you know, look pregnant, you know, for a while. And
Yeah.
that's, I think, I've never been pregnant, but I've talked to many of my friends who have had kids, and that's a really self-conscious time for them. And then if people make any type of small comment, it's very triggering, and it's an emotional, hormonal time anyway, right? With not a lot of sleep, a whole new routine, a whole new identity. And then you throw on
Right.
something like that, and it just can be too much. So
Right.
stop commenting on people's bodies, you know?
Seriously. Or like that time, of course, but then like people might have I have a friend who has a ton of allergy issues and eating different foods causes her body to react in a different way, whether it's like a stomach bloating issue or her throat closes up or her skin breaks out or whatever it is. Like it could be something like that, or it could be somebody who enjoyed themselves over COVID and, you know, is bloated and has gained some weight. Like you just don't know. You just don't know.
Right. You just
Or
don't
it could
know.
be somebody who's lost a baby too. Like
Yeah.
it's just inappropriate to ever comment on someone's body, but it happens all the time, and people constantly say things that they shouldn't and make judgments that they really have no place judging. Um, which obviously all contributes to our body issues as
Mhm.
well.
Right. And that's
So,
something that I was talking about last week when I talked to those a bunch of 10th graders about self-love, is when you're a bully, right? I've been bullied, and I also have bullied other people, right? We all do when we're young.
mhm.
And when you bully
I remember the
somebody,
girl who didn't she didn't wear deodorant. That's the only time I think I bullied somebody.
maybe she had a condition. You have no idea.
She was in 5th grade and didn't wear deodorant.
Yeah, she did. She did in 6th grade. What I can't actually remember, like, what I've bullied people about. I was never a real big bullier, but anytime I did,
Mhm,
it was really just to deflect attention from myself, right? Or something
mhm,
that I was maybe jealous of, or
mhm.
you know, or you're wanted, or you're insecure about your own self. So
Right,
you attack the other person for it,
right,
or you don't want the negative attention yourself. So sorry, person next to you, you're getting the brunt of it. Sorry, you know, and that's not
right.
right, but it's never about the actual person. Like, no troll on the internet actually cares, stays awake at night, loses sleep, writes in their journal about whatever they commented on your picture about, you know?
Right, right, right. But it was mean
So,
to that person and it probably impacted whoever they were commenting on.
Yeah.
To be fair, to be clear, I wasn't bullying this girl. I just didn't want to play with her because she smelled.
Do you want to make a public apology?
No,
Casually
I
send
hope
her
she's
this
wearing
podcast.
deodorant.
She's
I
probably one
don't
of
even
those
have
all
any.
natural girls now, like you make your own deodorant and things. I've tried that route. It did not work. Um, Zero out of 10
But yeah,
recommend.
yeah,
Zero
no
out of 10
thanks.
recommend that route. But I'm gonna plug in my computer here. Oh, there we go. My setup here is quite impressive in my temporary podcast studio. You make do. So anyway, we were talking, we were kind of getting into this, fitness mix of people, they work out a lot, and even this pertains to people who don't, but this fine line of plastic surgery and even, fillers and Botox. And I mean, you can go as simple as hair dye, right? Hair extensions, all the things. And it's kind of like, what do you say about that? Should I get, should I get this procedure, or should I be happy with myself? I actually have a couple clients who this has come up multiple times, about facelifts. Like, should I get the facelifts, or should I just be happy with myself? Like, where's this fine line, right? So I wanted to ask Alanna, and she agreed to share her own story about your journey with plastic surgery.
Yeah. Um, I can't believe I'm talking about this, but I obviously openly will tell anybody anything they want to know. I always, I've always been self-conscious about my body, and always said, I just want to get liposuction. I just want to do this. I just want to get rid of this tummy fat that I have, that I've always had, that I've carried with me, even when I lose weight, and it's still there. Um, so I was dating somebody last year who, um, amongst, many other people that I've dated, felt very free to make a comment about my body, which I don't appreciate, but he ultimately said, well, maybe it's just something you can't fix. Maybe, you could always get surgery. And I was like, I'd always considered it in the back of my head, but I never really considered it and looked into it.
Mm-hmm.
So, in 2021, I started seeing a couple doctors about consultations. I was really thin in 2021, happy with where I was, minus this like stomach situation that I just couldn't get rid of. Like, no matter like great eating, working out all the time, I am that person who typically works out 6 or 7 days a week. Um, and when I gain weight, it's because I'm not eating healthy. I think we promised to talk about the food pyramid, but
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah,
can't
we'll
even
get
go down
there.
that road.
That's the root of
I
our
have a
problems.
I mean, seriously, it's funny because I actually started undergrad as a food science and dietetics major, and we had a class that like focused so hard on the food pyramid. I was like, I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah.
I can't do this. And for anybody who listens to this podcast regularly, they probably know that Meg was a dental hygienist for a long time. And I actually wanted to get into dentistry. And so I
Mm-hmm.
switched my major to biology, and I could not pass chemistry to save my life. So
That's hard.
that's a little sidebar.
That's a rough one.
It's a little sidebar. But anyway, so I went ahead and met with a couple of different doctors, and really ended up vibing with the doctor that I ultimately went with, and I haven't had a baby. So a lot of times, unless you have a significant amount of weight gain and then subsequent weight loss, you don't need a tummy tuck. But I did get liposuction, and then my breasts were uneven, so I wanted to get them fixed. I didn't want anything crazy, but I wanted a good shape, and I wanted a flat stomach, and it's something I'm still dealing with, trying to heal from the surgery. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's definitely a major surgery. I definitely think it's important that people do answer like mental health questions honestly when they go into it. Um, but I do feel like you know, I have a couple friends who have looked into getting their mommy makeovers because they have had kids, and I think it's great. I think you should do what makes you happy, but make sure you do research, make sure you like your doctor, make sure you're in a good place with yourself when you get it done. Um, and a lot of people have great results. I've been dealing with some scar tissue issues, so that's my personal story, but I don't think
Mhm.
I think I'm it's not what happens to everybody. So, um,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I'm happy with the results so far. There have been times when I've been like, what did I do? Just because the scar tissue situation is driving me nuts, but I'm confident that I'll get to the other side.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a couple months, nine months
Hmm.
or so, 6, 7,
Hmm.
9 months, something like that.
Yeah.
Um, and you were always somebody who worked out, like you said, 6, 7 days a week. Uh, what what do you think are these questions? You know, I don't think it has to be this whole thing of you either work out and you're really, really fit, or you don't work out at all and you get plastic surgery. I think there's a lot of taboo
Yeah.
around that alone, of
Yeah.
you can do both, right?
Right.
You can still work out and still not get a result that you want and, you know, go that route of plastic surgery. I don't think it has to be oh, this or that, right? But
Right.
what
Well, and
okay.
I think there's, you know, once again, a lot of judgment. People are judging body types. There's a lot of
Mhm.
judgment around the decision to go ahead and get, you know, whatever surgical procedure that you want to get. And there's a lot of assumptions. And I think it prevents people from talking openly about their choices that they made. Just like putting a filter on your pictures. I mean, you don't have to tell anybody about it. And by no means am I saying that everybody should, you know, get out there and talk about what they've had done. But I think it's healthy for there to be, you know, real open conversation about it and for people to understand, like, you know, you're not going to see somebody one day and then all of a sudden they're different. I mean,
Mhm.
there's months of work that goes into it,
Right.
months of recovery, a lot of that stuff that goes into it. But
Well, here's a potential hot take. Do you think, and not, I don't think any, you should have to do this, right?
mhm.
But do you think that if you would answer the question, would you tell people that you got plastic surgery? If you would tell them no, should you get it?
If the person asked me if they should get it,
If if somebody was like, "Hey, did you get plastic surgery?" If you were to say
oh,
like, I would naturally want to say no, would you advise that person to not get plastic surgery?
um, I don't really understand the question.
Like,
I
I'm
guess
just like,
like if somebody came up to me and said, asked me if I had plastic surgery, and I said no,
mhm.
and tell them not to get plastic surgery.
Or just like, would you? It's kind of like looping into the mental health thing. Would that be something to consider? Like, oh, if somebody asked me, "Oh, did you get plastic surgery?" and not somebody like you like got plastic surgery, and I'm talking about like a
Yeah, yeah.
friend or an
Oh,
acquaintance.
okay.
Like, if you were to say like, "Oh no, I didn't get it," do you think that is that a sign or a question that you could ask yourself, like, should I get plastic surgery? Like, am I really doing this for me?
Oh, yeah. Um, I mean, if you're lying about it, that's one thing. That's interesting. If you're, which I don't know. I'm not a good liar. I don't lie about things, so I couldn't really see myself going that route. If somebody asked me and I just looked really good after like, I don't know, whatever, my body just suddenly changed. Um, I would probably be self-conscious about, is that what you're asking?
Hmm. Yeah.
Like, oh my God, should I do this? Like, Yeah, I think I would be self-conscious about it.
About like saying like, oh, I got plastic surgery. Because again, there's more taboo around getting plastic surgery.
Right, right, right. I think it's almost like, I mean, somebody asking that question is kind of like the "Are you pregnant?" question. It's just like,
Yeah.
"Oh, your body's different. I'm going to make an assumption and I'm going to ask you about it." And it's like people just need to stay in their lane.
Yeah.
But like when you know, I don't know, sometimes it just comes out and I'm just like, "Oh yeah, I got this and I did that." And I think I mean, the mental health part that I would be more concerned about is somebody who's just like not stable in knowing who they are and why they want to make that change, right? Like,
Mhm.
um, if they, maybe are thinking one thing one day and then a different thing the next day, or they're trying to have a body that looks like we were talking about the Kardashians in the last episode. If you're just suddenly like, I want to look like Kim Kardashian, the next day you're like, I want to look like Kate Moss. It's like,
Probably
I mean,
shouldn't.
there are doctors who will do it, but do you really want to see that doctor? Probably not.
Mhm. Well, and I think that's a good point of asking the question, why am I doing this? You know,
Yeah.
like if you're sitting there saying like, oh, I can't, no one's gonna like me if I look like this, or he'll like me if I get a breast augmentation or this or that. If your source of, if you're motivated by what it's going to do for other people or
Right.
how
Right.
it might affect other people, then I would say that's probably not a good indicator that you should do it, you know?
Hmm. I would agree with that.
What was your reasoning? What was your big push and connection with your why of, okay, I'm going to do this? Because I know it's a very scary process to even just say, oh, yes, I'm going to do this.
So it was twofold, realizing that it was something I could do. And there were a couple of people who I'm very close to that have had procedures done. And so once I realized that these people who I never in a million years would have guessed, maybe not necessarily the same things that I had done, but that they had, fixed something they were unhappy with, I was like, oh my God, like I can do this. And then it's just kind of like attacking that unknown. Like, what is the price? What does this look like for me? Is this realistic? Is this going to solve the problem that I'm looking to solve?
Mhm.
And then, having people you can confide in when you're trying to make this decision that aren't going to judge you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a couple friends that are looking into it or have recently done things, and the judgment is everywhere. And it's like you're pregnant and your body goes totally, I don't know, an opposite way. Like it goes through a lot and it's really impressive. And if you want to get back to a certain place, like it might not be realistic for you to think, oh, if I lose this much weight, I'm going to get there. Like you can lose weight, but you're still going to maybe have extra skin unless you're hashtag blessed.
Yeah.
Like you're going to have the extra skin or like whatever it is. And skin, you know, it, as we get older, we lose collagen, right? So it loses its elasticity. It's just like biology. And you can do something that'll make you feel better. But if you're doing it for somebody else besides yourself, then I would evaluate, you
Mhm.
know, going ahead with that procedure. But it's
Mhm.
not like it's not like Botox or Dysport where you can stop doing it. Okay. Where it's going to come back. Like you know, if I stop getting Dysport in my forehead, my wrinkles will come back and my face movement will come back. But if, once you make a change to your body, it's pretty much done. Like you
Right.
can't
The
really,
implants will be in there until you take them out, right?
right, right.
Um, so
And also, I will say, a week after I made the decision, or after I had my surgery, I had a friend who did it for very different reasons, and she had a double mastectomy because she had
The
family
gene.
history of breast cancer. Yeah, so she um, documented her whole journey as well, which is, I mean, I don't know, it almost makes you feel a little guilty for doing it because you want something that is symmetrical, in my case, symmetrical, and the same size and whatever. But people have all different reasons for doing plastic surgery, and whether they want to share that journey with you or not, it's really none of your business.
Right. Like it kind of goes back to the whole stay in your lane thing
Hmm.
because, it's like you never know. First of all, I want to, when you told me initially, said, "Hey, I'm thinking about this. What do you think I should do?" My first initial thought was I wanted to make sure you were doing it for you because I know, you
Hmm.
had told me about the guy you were dating at the time and the comments that he was making.
Hmm.
And
I mean, and to be fair, he made a lot of. I mean, he made rude comments, or just I don't even know that he knew he was being rude. He just
that's
said
even
stuff
worse.
that was like, yeah, it was. I mean, to be honest, yes, it was worse. But
Then you can't fix that,
um,
right? Or apologize for it if you don't know you're doing it. I'm like, that's actually
well,
worse.
yeah, I fixed it. He's gone.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's how you fix it. Bye. Um, it's like I found this funny. Speaking of Disport, the med spa that I go to posted. Do you like the guy's like, do you really need Disport? And the girl's like, do I really need you? Like, boy,
Happy
bye.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been a great Valentine's Day post. But so it's judgment, right? So you told me that you were thinking about it. I had known that, literally for years we've had this conversation of, I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight. And also just taking a side note here, thank you so much for coming on and being vulnerable enough to share your story on the internet. So I really
Yeah,
appreciate this. And I
you can
know,
use my code name. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, Alanna.
It's Alanna.
No one will know.
Yeah, man.
It's Alanna. Um, but no, I knew this had been something that you've been thinking about for a very long time.
Hmm.
And my biggest thing was, are you going to be happy? You know,
Hmm.
honestly, I think, and this is a little off topic, but whenever I got divorced, which is
Hmm.
another thing I think people should stay in their own lane about. It's a whole other podcast, but
Hmm.
I had told my family members and it was not really well received, right? A lot of judgment.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I remember I called one of my college roommates. It had been one of these things where I fell off the face of the earth, right? I didn't talk to anybody because I was just in a really low place at that time. And she thought I was mad at her. She's asking me like, what's going on. So I finally called her and I told her what was up. And the first thing that she said was, are you okay? Are you happy?
Yeah.
The very first thing that she said. And that literally, I've never forgotten that. And
Yeah.
so now it's something that I try and pass because it meant so much to me. I'm like, oh my God, you're not going to judge me at all. All you're going to do is just
Hmm.
really care about my happiness and my well being. Right.
Hmm.
So that's something that I take and I try and apply with other aspects of my life where
Hmm.
you tell me you want plastic surgery. My biggest concern is, are you happy? Are you going to be happy? Are you doing this for you? Right.
Hmm.
Versus anybody else. And I think, we had a couple conversations about it and it was very proven that you were doing this for you, not for your ex-boyfriend or anybody else.
Hmm.
And I think if you can sit down and say, not just with plastic surgery, but really with any decision in your life, it's like, I am doing this for me,
Yeah.
and I think another component of that is you're whole before plastic surgery and then after, right?
Yeah.
You don't need it to be complete. So if
Hmm.
that's something, if you're thinking about making a long-term serious medical condition, right? Going under is no joke,
Right.
anesthesia. And the recovery is no
Yeah.
joke either.
No joke. No.
And you have to make sure that
And
you're doing it for you.
right. And I will say, I don't recommend going through a breakup a month and a couple days after you have plastic surgery.
Yeah. I was like, if I was
So
in DC, I would be taking care of you.
he was such a bad caretaker. It's not why I broke up with him,
He
but
gone. He
uh,
gone.
yeah. But I mean, after I have like my regrets would be not continuing to take care of myself and like eating well when
Mhm,
I was post-op. Um, but otherwise, I don't have any regrets about
mhm,
actually doing the surgery. I had a couple people also ask me that question, like, "Are you doing this for you or for him?" And I hope people know that I'm past the stage of doing things at least like something that extreme for other people. But I mean, I do
mhm.
appreciate like the concern that anybody would have raised. Um, I forgot what I was going to say, but anyway, um,
So what is knowing, and for you personally, and I know this is going to change for everybody, but what does you doing it for you? What did that what did that sound like for you? How did you know?
so it all goes back to body image, right? Like we have talked about the things that bother us. And on the plus side, this individual that I was dating made this comment like, maybe this is what you can change for surgery. And so then I did about, I mean, I guess I did maybe 8 to 10 months of research and asking questions and meeting with doctors. But I think I just knew that it was going to actually change something that I had been unhappy with about myself.
Mhm,
Um, and that's not, that's not for anybody else. Like, that's the way I feel. Like, nobody else maybe would have noticed some of the stuff. Like, we went to a friend's bachelorette party the I guess, summer before, and people were like, "Oh my God, you look great." And I got all these like positive comments and everything, but like it was still that part that bothered me.
mhm,
Um, So ultimately, like, I don't know what it would look like to make a decision for somebody else, because honestly, it's expensive. And if they're not paying for it,
yeah,
you
that's
damn well
another
better be sure that
thing.
that decision is for you.
Right.
Um, so I mean, there are a lot of mental health questions that are involved in there. And I think a lot of times if you have a good surgeon, they'll be able to kind of pick out like, okay, well, what about this? Or have you tried this kind of thing?
Mhm.
Um, over like, let's go, let's cut you up.
Yeah,
And
we're booking your appointment tomorrow. It's like, wait, what?
right,
Yeah,
right.
definitely be on the okay, do not go on Groupon, like let's get some like reviews,
Yeah,
maybe a personal friend has used this person, be safe about it.
right, right.
Don't go to Mexico.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I have friends who won't even get Botox. And I think that's like, I mean, that's great. Like, I don't, whether it's they don't want to spend the money on it. I mean, here in where I live in the DC area is so much more expensive than where you are in Texas to
Mhm.
get Botox. But I mean, I just think I'm not judging them for not getting Botox, so they shouldn't judge me for getting it, you know?
Right. I think it comes down to, going back to the judgment thing, and we'll kind of go into the world of fillers and Botox. Um, don't like why if you're mad about somebody else getting plastic surgery, like sure you can be concerned and worried for someone who you love, right? Of hey, have you thought
Right,
this through, right? That's
right, right,
different than oh my god, that person got plastic surgery or that person got a butt implant or like whatever. It's like
right.
who cares?
Yeah,
And
honestly.
what you comment and what you see and what you focus on says more about you than it does about the other person. It's like, why does this matter to you?
100%.
You know?
And I think honestly, in our podcast that we talked about, that we did back in October,
Mhm.
we talked about how, like, when you're in a bad place, you lash out on other people too. And I'm not saying that was my experience, but I don't think it's uncommon. Um, for I feel like I honestly had a great support system. Um, but yeah, like if you're maybe you're self-conscious about something, but you're mad that somebody else is doing something about it, it's the same thing that's going to hold you back everywhere else.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I was going to say is that in the first episode of the body image conversation, everybody's different. Like every body is different.
Hmm.
Um, tall, short, have hips, don't have hips, whatever. You have thick thighs, maybe your thighs don't touch, like all these different things. Like just because something works for one person doesn't mean it's going to work for everyone.
Hmm.
Like everybody's body metabolizes things differently. Everybody's, some people don't need to work out and they can eat junk food and they're still, tiny and whatever. Some people eat very healthy and they're bigger. Like
Hmm.
it's it's not the outsider's decision to make on behalf of somebody else.
No, I agree.
And
I agree. It's like worry about yourself,
yeah,
and
stay on your side.
worry. Yeah, right. Stay in your lane. And I actually, I think with going into Botox and fillers, if something
Oh,
makes
I
you
have
feel,
one thing to.
oh yeah, go
Sorry, go
for
ahead.
it.
Before we go to like Botox and fillers, why isn't anybody talking about how fucked up the BMI system is? Like
Oh, should we go
body
into
mass
that?
index.
Yes, and where it
I don't-
actually came from.
Yeah, and it's still
Okay,
something that is
let's do
used. I don't
this.
know where it came from.
Oh, I do. I recently saw this on TikTok. So, you know what I'm going to do? We're turning this into a 3-part series because there is so much more
Okay.
to talk about. So, stay tuned. We'll come back for part 3. We'll talk about BMI. We'll talk about Botox fillers. We're going to talk about the food pyramid. We still have to get to that. And then even just, those solutions that we talked about in episode 1. We still have to get to those, but there's just so much content because honestly, so many people there's just so much with body image. So stay tuned for part 3. That'll be coming on soon. And, we'll close out the same way we always close out. I believe that you can create your life. You can create your fate. Alina believes the same thing. And if we could leave you with just one thing, it would be this. Expect good
Good
things
things
and they will
always.
happen. Oh, wait, always. Oh my God, I messed it up.
I got it
Always.
right.
And they will
I said
happen.
the always.
I know, always. Oh my gosh. See, just be a co host at this point. So, all right. Well, that's all we got for you today. And we will see you back for part 3.